everyone, welcome to the Spin Out. I am really excited today to welcome our guest, Vinisha Rathod, who does many things, but most of all, she is my very good friend who I have met in the startup and business community in the last couple of years, and I love chatting with her. She is all about helping businesses to create cut through in their strategic decision making and find the right people and culture fit for their businesses, something I'm super passionate about. And she's just written a book, The Briefcase Effect, and we're going to be chatting all about that book today, as well as just life in general and life in business and life in tech. And we recorded this session when we were down at the Something Tech Festival in Brisbane, and so we're really excited to share that with you today and unpack some of the really great tips in her book. So let's go.
Ta-da!
Hi everyone! Thank you for joining us. Today we're in a really special location. We are at Something Tech, which is part of the Something Fest Festival in Brisbane. We're down at Howard Smith Wharves and we are literally sitting in a boat. So this is my beautiful friend, Vinisha Rathod, who is joining me today to talk about some wonderful things around how to unpack your briefcase. And so I thought we might start by talking about this amazing briefcase. So I first met Vinisha at this festival last year.
Oh my God, it was.
We were out
We
there.
were with Gary. I met you through Gary. And I was like, what?
And then I discovered that this briefcase was part of your amazing identity because everywhere you go, you carry it and it brings the most amazing conversations.
Yes.
So I couldn't wait. And you've just launched a book, The Briefcase Effect. So I couldn't wait to have you on our podcast and talk about some wonderful things. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, and thank you to all of you listening.
So tell us about the briefcase. Let's start with this beautiful collection. We don't have a laundry lady sticker on there just yet, but we are working on that. So that will be there very soon. So tell us, where did this come from?
Yeah, and then I'll say, how does that relate to the book? So when I started working in tech 3 years ago, tech reminded me a lot of sci-fi, which is how I grew up with a lot of science fiction. Star Trek, Star Wars, Stargate, all of that I grew up with. And so when I started working in tech, I needed a new laptop cover, and I saw someone on the bus with a briefcase and half a liter of milk in one hand, and I was like, that's right. I want a briefcase because it reminds me of Dad, who unfortunately passed away 15 years ago. So he never saw me work full time. So it's so distracting.
The dog, like literally, he wants to be on our podcast.
Yeah, he's like,
he's being dragged away.
He literally does not want to do anything.
That is so funny.
He's like, I'm tired. And that dog's like, I'm jealous. Sorry, I got so distracted. That was so cute. And so, yeah, he passed away 15 years ago, and he never saw me work full time. And so I bought the briefcase, hunted for a briefcase with Mom because it don't exist anymore, because I missed him. So it felt like his spirit was with me. And I had about 4 of the girls in the store try and decipher this code thing because no one's buying briefcases. No one's buying them. So it was like Dad's birthday. And I'm like, I'm not leaving until you all sort how to do that because that's hard. And I left, and then I started taking it as my handbag. And then I started working in tech and taking it with me networking events because it's my handbag. And they were very disappointed to have period pads and lip gloss in here. And I was like, it's my handbag. Just because it's a briefcase doesn't mean it's not. That what happened is that started becoming part of my identity in terms that people remember me by it. And then a lot of my better part of my personality started coming out. People asked me to speak at things because I would talk a lot about your passion and your work. I worked in a recruitment company, but I didn't do recruitment myself, but I worked with others. There's a pigeon who wants to join us. You can join us too. I feel like it's a very animal friendly.
We're in the outdoors. What could go wrong?
And people wanted me to start speaking about this methodology, which if I move this, which moves into what I wrote here, which is the book, which is the essence of the book. And it's like, instead of making all your decisions passion-led, Because I saw in the recruitment space, everyone was like, what's your passion? I'm like, that's such a privileged thing to ask. Because not everyone's going to love what they do and get paid for. But be really particular on what you want to master and get good at. So what's a craft you want to build? And how does that drive what you care about? So I just came out with that framework and I started refining it. People wanted me to speak more about it. I took the briefcase with me. More of my personalities that are coming out came from super corporate into this startup-y land. And that's how the Briefcase Effect book was created, because when I started my own business last year, people already knew who I was because of that briefcase, but because how I showed up and how I built my brand unknowingly. And that was because I got in a very toxic personal and professional environment, and the best version of me started coming out. And that's what this book is all about. So how do you intentionally having the best version out of survival mode, so then you carry that version of you everywhere you go, and that attracts the right people and also detracts the wrong ones.
I love this. My dad also had a briefcase just like that. I lost my dad when I was 9 years old. So, yeah, it's a really long time ago. And so, and he carried a briefcase just like this. So I love it too. I feel like it's a connection to your briefcase as well. So,
and you know what? I've had a lot of people actually really smile because a lot of people said my dad carried one, and it brings a lot of joy because I'm a small brown person. So they're like, normally only men carry a briefcase, let alone a small brown girl carrying a briefcase. So it's actually this really beautiful nostalgia where it's actually really welcoming for the men as much as it is for the women.
It's also like a super handy size and like,
yeah,
carry
it's heavy. It's heavy. I'm a strong woman now.
It's like also a bicep
yeah.
workout.
My arms are much stronger than my legs.
So coming into situations that are toxic and coming out of that really is just gives you so much self-awareness in terms of how you present yourself, how you show up in the world, and where you're headed with your life and what you really value in your life, right?
Yeah. And so, what you're capable of.
What you're capable of.
I think that's the biggest thing.
I just love that so much, because people always think that they can't cope, or they'll say to someone, oh, you're so strong. How did you get through that? And the thing is, you just have to get through situations that are tough and become capable, and you have no choice. You just got to keep soldiering on, like a lot of our listeners are women, and a lot of mums who are juggling a lot of things, whether it's, kids who might have special needs, or, maybe they've come from some kind of toxic relationship and starting again, or, becoming a single parent for the first time, or they're, come out of a domestic violence situation, or, they're juggling a lot of different things. And so, thinking about all of that, like they're almost in survival mode, but it's, also becoming this capable person that's coming into the world. And so tell me all about this, because this is what your whole book is about. You unpack this in so much amazing detail. It's like a toolkit. It's a toolkit that goes with your briefcase about how to show up in the world, I feel is.
Yeah. And it's that strength, right? Like how you don't even know what you're capable of until you're out of survival mode, I think. And I think it's such a day by day thing, because when you're in it, you don't think you can get over it or go past it, which is why I'm so vocal about my divorce. So the divorce was first amicable, and then it turned into a court case and financial abuse. And I can't get too much in the detail of it, but I was living in share houses and I had to restart, again, and no friends, completely had to restart my whole career 3 years ago. And what I want to show people is you can do it, because I wrote this book in 4.5 months, and people were like, how? And I said, people are incredible when you're out of a toxic situation. Like the human potential is actually amazing, and you don't realize how much you can do and how much you are constrained when you are literally just really get through day by day. And so my big thing is get people out of survival into thrive, into the best version of yourself, and then you can give back. And then you can show up in the best way. Then you can do things like this and wear the best version on your sleeve. But it's so hard to do that when you're in that. And that's why I'm so vocal. And that's why even when I heard about Laundry Lady, it was so aligned to my values of I want every person to have economic power and freedom, because that gives you choice. right? The number one reason that people do not leave violent relationships or coercive control relationships is money. Money and community. I have a lot of people who could leave, but they don't, like you say, they don't know what's on the side. I didn't know what's on the side. I didn't have no romantic, like, knight in shining armor. I just knew that I couldn't stay anymore what I was, and I had no idea what to expect. Like, no idea my life would be here 3 years later. Like,
Sitting on a boat in a
sitting
park.
on a boat with this like global
recording
legend.
a podcast. I
Like,
mean, that was definitely on your goal card.
yeah. With this meeting incredible entrepreneurs who are literally like you changing the world and giving a platform for people to make their own money who don't have to fit under the traditional mold of what usually does make money.
Absolutely. Because, you get so caught up in, like, I need to have this big, amazing career, or I need to do all these things that are, like something that I completely love and I'm passionate about. But sometimes you just need to be able to survive and do what you need to do for your family or whatever that is. And so how do you get out of survival mode, first of all? Because I feel like I've been through divorce, and I feel like it's like you put a bomb under your life and then it goes into a million pieces, and then it all falls to the ground, and you've got to rebuild it and work it all out again. So, how do you get out of that survival mode and get into that next phase?
Actually, that's really good, because I actually have in here an alignment check, and I'm actually really happy if you guys, I'll just talk through it really briefly. First, you have to kind of check where you're at. Because you can't really change anything unless you kind of understand where you are.
You've got to be ready, right?
You have to be ready, but you can only be ready if you see a problem. If you don't see any issues, then you kind of don't see the enough to change. So I actually do a workshop where I talk about the cost of inaction. So what if I don't do the thing? What if the suffragettes didn't do the thing and, starved themselves so women could vote globally? What if, like, all the ancestors before us didn't do the courageous steps to get where we are today? So what can we do to make it courageous for the next generation? Like, I'm so grateful that I don't have any children. And that was a very conscious decision with him to really check, did we have what it takes to then not have that cycle, like for me to be able to achieve what I can now. But I know it's really hard. And so with this, I'd almost say to someone, like, do a bit of a sense check of where you are. No judging, just seeing things for what they are. So I call it a bit of an alignment check, but I go, okay, physically, how would you rate your overall health? Your body is your number one indicator of where you're at. So exercise, what ailments do you have? Like, women have the highest rate of autoimmune disease because you suppress, and they get sick because you're literally turning on your own body and your needs. They always put themselves last. And so physically,
how put our own oxygen mask on first.
Absolutely. So I would check your physical. I mean, where are you at physically?
And that doesn't mean you got to run marathons, right?
No, I don't run a marathon.
No,
I saw a meme.
I am definitely not a marathon runner.
No,
ever.
I never aspire. I love drinking and eating and talking too much. I mean, people who run marathons also talk, but I think
I'm well running.
Do you know there's this meme?
That would not be pretty for me.
No. There's a meme that's like 99% of the population will never run a marathon. I'm like, I am the 99%. I don't know. I have no
But if you are into running marathons, then
also good for you.
We will cheer you on.
The 1%, we adore you. We will have a drink to celebrate you. But what's your physical health? The next one is your financial health. So is there anything you want to improve about your financial situation? Do you have enough to cover your basic needs, survival needs? Do you have a source of other income? Do others depend on you? Can you afford an unexpected major expense? So what is the relationship with money? How are you feeling with that? Because it's just no judging, just understanding. The next one is mentally. How would you describe your state of mind? So I've met people who are great physically. They've really got a lot of money, but inside their mind is like living like hell. And I really go, I mean, what's it like in there? Like my mind is so lovely, but I know my ex's wasn't. So it's and if you are in chaos here, it's very hard to be in another state somewhere else. So it's very hard to be giving because you're just trying to manage this. And so I really feel for people with that, but know what it's like to be inside your mind. Like, can you be in your own presence and comfortably? And if you can't, then you're really going to have a hard time leaving something that's not for you. Socially, How satisfied are you with your social circles, friendship, and partnership? I actually have a whole chapter dedicated to your circle, and I actually have a friendship audit in that to be really clear. What is your circle and community like? Because we're social creatures. Humans are social creatures. Like, just don't hang out with idiots or people who put you down. Do you have a way to connect with your circle? Do they bring out the best in you? And then the last one is, you can call it spiritual, you can call it your fire. I call it the fire. What gets you out of bed? What do you care about? And, for me, it's children. I care. I'm going to have children one day of my own, but I look at everyone else's kids and I go, what are we doing to make it better for them? So firstly, I would just check against those 5. You can go with your own. Where am I at with that? And is there something I dramatically want to change from that? And even if, you can't leave the situation you're in completely, whether that's at work, whether that's in your personal life, what can I start doing little steps that I can go towards something I want to achieve? And start having that agency.
And I think if you are a 10 out of 10 across all of those areas, then you're probably lying to yourself, because no one's ever really that, we've always got to work on ourselves, and it
Absolutely.
is. And some of those things you might find some are, really strong and some are not so strong.
Yeah.
And so it's not about, like critiquing yourself.
No.
It's just about working out, well, these are the areas that maybe I could put a little bit more effort into.
Yeah, and focus on, and then go, okay, well, if I'm like good or wrong that, like I need to focus maybe more on my physical health, because I'm noticing these things and I want to be around for my kids for a long time. Okay, no, financial is a big focus, so I'm going to say no to other things and focus on how I can get a side income or side stuff like that. So
I always find all of these things are always going up and down for me. So I think it's good to kind of stop and do that checklist regularly. Would you say?
Yeah. So I have, so for anyone I have 2 things that I've implemented. I did a burnout session yesterday with Mums and Co. So I do 2 things for that. So especially if you have your own business or you're contracting, whatever, I have a daily accountability buddy. She has her own business too. We text each other. I haven't texted her today, but we have a WhatsApp live list that we will send each other about our to-do list for the day. And then we'll send each other ticks when we've done it. And we're not fully invested in each other's thing, but it's more like, oh, there's a live person that cares and I care about her. Yeah. And I go, oh, it's a live list. Rather than just writing it on my notepad, I write it to her and I'm like, oh yeah, have I done that? That's awesome. Great. So I have a daily one. And then I have a person I check in with quarterly. And we do, her name's also Vinisha. I've known her for about 12 years. So we have a year, what we want to achieve, big 3 goals. And then we check in quarterly against those kind of 6 elements and about where we're at across. So then we'll celebrate each other. So we go on a hike. We go to the beach. It doesn't have to, these things don't have to be expensive. They just have to be intentional. And so I do that quarterly, and that gives you agency in your life. Like I was like, I want to renovate my kitchen last year. So I was like, what do I need to do?
Renovate my kitchen too.
Yeah.
I don't have the budget for it.
Yeah,
but
that was my last year. It was very different times, writing book different. But yeah, like having that and going, oh my God, I've done that. Like this was on my to-do list this year, right? And that's like, oh yeah, cool. I
just write a book on my to-do list and I've done it. Tick, easy. I've got one on my list too, but I think it's going to take me a little bit longer.
Oh my God.
And we'll get there.
You got other plans. I
got a lot of things on my list. But yeah, so I love that. Doing an alignment checklist. So then what do? We realize, okay, we need a bit of help in this area, or
and then
killing it in this area. Then what do we do with that?
Yeah, and then there's also something in the book about your habits. So I always say you don't know
habits.
Yeah, you don't know how to like change. So like, how are you dealing with? I'm gonna come back to these things. How are you dealing and coping with the hard times and stuff? Like, is it helpful for you? So, for example, TV is what I grew up with. We didn't really grow up with much money, so there's no holidays or coping mechanisms that way. And Dad didn't drink, so we grew up with a lot of TV. And I have an addictive personality. So if I want to numb, I'm overwhelmed and I'm over it, I know I will not be able to stop watching a TV show. I've done it before. Made, as we know that you know that.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so triggering. But I watched that. I saw 11 p.m. and I finished 4 5 a.m. I can't afford to do that. That screws up my sleep for days. I'm not 20 anymore. So I was like, I can't. And there's so many good shows out now. So I actually don't have a TV. But I have
So not just turn off your Netflix subscription.
no,
just get rid of the whole
I
TV.
take away anything that will hinder me with habits that are not helpful. And that's not to like, I still doom scroll because I'm a fucking human, but I don't.
I doom scroll too, except for the other morning when Taylor and Travis got engaged, and I
That's
forgot
right,
to
everyone
doom
told
scroll,
you.
and
It'll
everyone
be
knew
like,
about me.
we knew it was gonna happen. We knew it was gonna happen. But it's like, yeah. So I have an audit. I did this yesterday when you're overwhelmed. Do an audit of your activity. So there's like, okay, when I am overwhelmed, what do I do? With my
I
morning
definitely
routine.
doom scroll, and I feel like at the end of the week when my phone goes, how many hours have you spent online this week? And I go, oh, that was a lot. That was a big increase on the week before, because it's mindless and it just gives me that.
Yeah, and sometimes a little bit's okay. So I have the thing. So for me to maneuver that, 15 minutes has a cutoff thing. So the screen will go blank for me.
Oh,
so I have that
15 minutes.
Yeah,
that
but then I just
short.
press ignore. I just press ignore and I keep going. But you know what? At least the screen thing is there. So
it reminds you of the time.
Yeah. And then, but so for other things, like I only have alcohol with people. Like I don't drink by myself. So my house is filled with alcohol. But for other people I know, they don't keep alcohol in the house because it's the same thing with TV as it is. They'll be like, oh, I'll be able to turn off the show. I was like, I can't. Like I physically cannot turn off until I've watched everything.
Yeah, I feel like this is such a good thing. Remove anything that is going to push you into that space.
That you know that you have a harder time controlling when you're overwhelmed. So I actually have an audit, like what do you do in your morning routine? What do you do on your commute? During work hours, while cooking, evening? And there's all these problems, like before you go to sleep. Do you scroll? Do you do this? Do you check work messages? Social situations, state of overwhelm. What do you do when you're out and about or time alone? So it's kind of having a sense check of yourself because like I say, you can't, it's the same thing I do when I work for companies. I kind of do an audit about what they're doing now and be like, okay, so there's change management, culture and all that stuff. All right, okay, with how you're set up, do we need to start, stop, continue, anything? And that's kind of how I go. When you kind of unpack and learn about yourself, then you go, okay, these activities I do, should I remove or reduce any of them from my day-to-day? Do I have any activities that I mark as harmful and specific when I'm triggered, stressed, or have anxiety? What can I replace that with? So, okay, I watch copious amounts of TVs, like 4 hours a night. Should I use that time to go to the gym or have a weekly catch-up with a friend? Because that will actually give me what I need more than numbing myself with this TV show, which makes me feel like my life is on doom scroll. So
I think that's such a good point of like, you've got to find something to replace it with, right? Like not just say, I'm not going to do this anymore and then replace it with something even more worse. Like
vaping. And actually another one I want to say is like, and this is connection now, like when you were younger and overwhelmed, was there an activity that helped you feel calm? And I'm a really massive advocate for doing things without social media or without tech. So that can be coloring in, that can be drawing, that could be singing. Like, is there playing guitar? Like, is there something? I used to draw fashion clothes. I look very fashionable. I can't sew to save my life, but I used to draw fashion like outfits, and that didn't require technology. I write poetry to cope, or I sit on a rocking chair. Like I go to the beach. I mean, is there things that you can do that don't require technology to kind of reset you back and get you out of the spiral?
For me this year or in the last kind of 2 years, it's been gardening, which
I love
like
that.
my mum is a mad gardener and she cannot believe that I'm gardening.
Oh my
She's
God.
very shocked at this behavior in me.
Good.
But because I started building my own garden and it keeps me away from my phone because I can't have it in my hand. Also gets me away from my children because they don't really want to be helping mum garden. They think that's the most boring thing in the world.
And you're like, I have some peace. I'm connecting with nature.
It's so peaceful. It's so like my hands are dirty.
And then you can feel it, right?
And it's the feeling, but it's also watching my garden grow gives me so much joy because I'm like, oh, look at that plant. It's going well. Or there's some plants that are not going quite so well.
Yeah,
but
so
the ones
that
are going well, like let's go off those ones. But it's just it's such a rewarding thing to be able to see that happen. So and gardening's not going to be for everyone, but all those gardening shows my mum forced me to watch when I was growing up and coming into
You're like, I know that weed.
I
know how to kill that weed.
None of my fruit trees have fruit, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
It's a work in progress.
Yes, I also just love walking around the plant store or the Bunnings garden section and looking at all the beautiful flowers. There's a lot of pink flowers in my garden.
I cannot believe what unexpected. But yeah, bringing you back, and I think even no matter how busy or stressed you are, there's got to be something that you can do for yourself that you did when you were younger as well, that just was you.
Yeah.
And I buy my own flowers every week. I have my flower guy. He bought my book too. It was crazy. He became my friend. I was like, Mark, my flower man's here. So I buy
If you lived here in Queensland, I could cut you some flowers from my garden every week.
I love that. And your circle. Find your friends. Like, even if you can't see them, call them. They say an 8-minute conversation makes us feel so heard.
Yes.
And we don't call the same way as we used to. It's all text, but it's not the same as hearing someone's voice.
Yes, definitely. It can be so therapeutic just having a chat with a friend.
Yeah. Sometimes what I've done and what I've done for clients is actually I get them when they're in a state of overwhelm. I actually have them a list, whether it's on their phone and their notes, of what they do. So instead of having the mental load of when you're stressed, fuck, what should I do? You have a list. Go to the garden. I'm in a state of overwhelm. Can I just have one touch point? And that will prompt me on what I should do depending on my circumstance.
Because it can be like if you are drinking too much, you get into that habit of, things are getting really stressful and tough. I'm just going to go straight back to that as your go-to. And so having a list of other things that you want to be pushing yourself to, I think that's great.
Yeah, because then it's just one touch point. Like, okay, call my friend. Go check that plant. Go hug my dog. I don't know. Go do whatever. Go paint my toenails. Go
fertilize that plant.
Go watch a funny. Sometimes when I know, my Instagram algorithms are so good. They just make me laugh, and then I'll send reels to my girlfriends, and then we laugh, and I laugh a belly laugh, right? And it's so good. And I do things like I have half day dopamine Friday. So I implement things during the week, but I think having that list when you're like, I'm frustrated, and going, okay, here's 6 things that it prompted me to do. Let me read that thing, or write poetry, or draw something, or go for a walk, or I think it's.
I love this. Okay, so what's next? What's next in our step?
Oh my God. Okay, so the thing I also want to say is as you're building your careers, as you're building your empire, as you're building, what you want to do with your time, a lot of people that are like, I don't even know what I'm good at. I was like, that's fine. You don't have to know what you're good at, but at least be kind of these timeless skills. I hate the word soft, because soft sounds like it's weak, and everyone's like, technology is taking over everything. I was like, technology is not taking over being human. But if you could, as you are growing and evolving and doing your thing, I do this with young Gen Zs actually, and I go, even as you're navigating, have these timeless skills in your pocket. So I'd say there's about 12 of them. Problem solving. You have a solution. And you guys are dealing with that with the work that you have, either it's through Laundry Lady or through something else, where you go, if you can come to people with solutions, not just problems, I swear to God, people will make room for you.
And that's, at Laundry Lady, that's exactly what we're doing. We're solving problems, but, sometimes it might feel like, I don't know how to solve this problem, so I'm going to tell the customer is the problem, when the customer just wants it solved.
Yeah. And then sometimes if you don't know if they're okay with it, hey, this has happened. This falls under accountability. Hey, this has happened. I was thinking these 2 options. What do you think? And they're like, thank you for helping me not take the mental load, because your customers probably have 55 things that are going through.
That's why they're using our service, because they want us to
take
the load off their mind. That's our tagline.
Yeah. And then you're adding more load by coming. And we've all met those people. God, they're annoying. They're only what they call them, negative Nancy's. They're so annoying to be with. I was like, help me solve the problem. They're giving me more. So be accountable. You may not even enjoy, I wrote this, you may not even enjoy your role, but if you're working for someone, take pride in what you deliver. When something doesn't go to plan, you take ownership and provide an update with clear next steps. And I cannot tell you, that carried my whole career, being like that kind of person. Critical thinking. You question assumptions and decisions to find alternative outcomes. Like, just think about things. Okay, that's not working, or why do we do it that way? Okay, why don't we try this other way, or is that the best way? You know, it's like thinking 10 steps ahead, and that will serve you like no tomorrow. It doesn't matter what job you're doing.
Well, I feel like these steps are also really useful in parenting. Yeah, I think
It's so true.
Yes, yeah.
You're like, yeah, critical thinking. They're just chucking
Whenever I
attention.
look into any kind of business help, I'm always like, how do I apply this to my children and parenting my children better?
Oh my
so
God,
I love
that
this.
is so funny. Critical thinking. They're like that because their amygdala is not evolved yet, and they just, that's what they learn. A willingness to learn. A number of studies of successful leaders have found that their lifelong learning mentality is their standout feature, and it's true. So we're learning, like, you know, that whole thing of like, you're a student for life. It is such a good mentality.
And that's why we're here today, right? At Something Tech, because we
always
it's also because we love all catching up with each other.
Yeah, to be honest, I just go see my mates. But yeah, I also go learn new
things. But we
things.
also are here to learn and learn lots of new things.
Yes, we are. Yeah, and meet amazing people like her. Become a safe pair of hands. I developed a really strong reputation built on trust. My managers knew that if they asked me to do something, I would deliver it properly and use strong initiative. It kept my stakeholders aware across the work I was doing, so anyone could pick up from it whatever is needed. So I don't know, guys have notes and have like, you know, client notes and things like that, but you should be able to have a system that anyone could pick up the work. So no sneaky motives. For me, sometimes, look, I know politics is a thing. I didn't want to play in that game. Like, for me, customer is everything. The truth, the customer is the one that's giving you revenue. The customer is also a person going through the life things like you.
Absolutely. I think sometimes it's hard to remember that because you're getting caught up in what you're doing, but it's like the customer's a person too.
They are. And if they're taking out something bad on you, like, just have that context, critical thinking to be like, maybe they're in a situation. And look, I get it. If you're in survival mode, you're not the best version of yourself. So it's really hard to think 3 steps there. But even when I still was hardworking hustler because I so cared about the right outcome. I so cared and had pride in what I did because they didn't come from any money as well, which also helped with, like, if you don't show up, like, this impacts you.
Yes.
And I think another one that I'd really tell people that the new gen really struggles with, receptive to feedback. You can receive and act on feedback without argument or resentment within reason and know when to pick your battles. When do you know that's just them having a shitty go at me because they're, you know, pissed off at something versus actually I should really take that on?
Yes. Yeah.
That's really critically good to know. And the fact that you're spending time. How about someone's like, your website's like, ooh, and I was like, I really appreciate you taking the time to tell me that because I know it is.
Yes. And I think this is so hard when you're doing laundry sometimes because you've put so much effort into it, and if you get a complaint, it feels like a personal attack. And it's not like always like that. Sometimes it might be that the quality of service is not great, and you know, own up to that and fix it. But sometimes it might be that the customer's just in a really bad place themselves, and you know, if you can act kind, then that is going to go a long way to solving the problem.
Yeah, I once had one of my old bosses like yell at me. I'm not joking, in front of everyone in the office. But for me, context was like she wasn't a malicious person. I've met malicious people. I have no my tolerance for them and their games is really low. But for her, I knew she was in a bad place.
Yeah,
I knew, and I just was like, okay, like that's all right. And then she took me in the room and she just bawled her eyes out and she said, I can't believe I yelled at you in front of everyone like that. And I was like, that's okay. I was like, we all have a heart in days. Like, you know, wisdom is just knowing what is someone's intent, which is why I talk about the values so much and surrounding yourself with absolute rock stars who intend to make the world a better place with or without you around. Does that make sense? Like, their natural orientation is to make the world better. It's not to be sly. It's not to be sneaky. It's to care. And if you surround yourself with people like that, that you'll have a diverse group. But you'll have a group that's orientated that way. You don't have to worry. That whole sneaky motives thing. I've been around those people. So scary and toxic to be around. You're constantly tiptoeing and you're like, yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, I was in toxic situations like that before I started Laundry Lady, and that was the whole reason why I did, because I wanted to move myself away from that and create something that didn't exist, that people could have this, because freedom. Like, I was in workplaces where I was told, no, you're 5 minutes late, you're an awful person. It's like, I'm sorry, I was trying to get shoes on a toddler who didn't want shoes on his feet. Like, let's put things into perspective here. And so, I wanted to be able to create something that you didn't have to ask for that permission to be late or to take time off and go to your son's sports days. And I think a lot of people are starting, a lot of our listeners are women who want to start businesses, or they're doing business with us. And, that's why they want to do that, because they want to get away from that toxicity and that's in the workplace that makes you not be able to do those things and own your own freedom.
And then you're constantly in survival mode, because you're like, who's going to be upset if I do it? And then you can't do the thing because you're worried about being yelled at. So stupid.
Yes. It's a horrible cycle to be in.
Yeah, and being bullied is shit. Like, I've been bullied too. All these jealous people. I'm like, I'd be jealous too, but I want to be mean because I'm busy building. I don't have time to be mean to you.
Yeah, we don't have time for those people anymore.
I don't have time, no. Well, that moves on to the next thing, is a positive demeanor. So our demeanors, like the demeanor is like the way you show up, it's your orientation, it's your vibe. Our demeanors are very contagious. If you have a good one, then doors will open for you. So I always ask, even if you are assessing whether to be a friend with someone or not, or be around someone, if you take a step back and be like, when they walk into a room, do they add to the room or do they take away from the room?
Because it can ruin your energy if they're taking away.
And you can't physically see it, right? But you can feel it.
You definitely feel it.
And I think my whole career, I was able to, people always noticed me and got me to do more work and stuff because I had a positive demeanor. Like I was like, babe, like, look at what's going on in the world right now. We live in Australia. Like, there's so much to be grateful for.
Yeah.
And
look, positive demeanor, I feel like, is maybe not something that 100% of the time you need to feel. Like, my staff will definitely tell you that first thing in the morning, I'm not the most positive demeanor.
No.
But after a coffee or two, that usually improves.
Yeah, and that's different to toxic positivity, where you're like, everything is okay all the time. Like, no, we don't appreciate toxic positivity because you're just coping in a not best way. But it's like, it's that a whole pickup. Like, you see kids when they fall on the ground, they like cry and then they get back up and then they're just having fun again. Like, it's that whole thing of like, well, what do you carry? Then people want to be around that. They want to work with you. They would want to help you. Even if you're having a more down day, if they know that your general demeanor is more uplifting, then they'd want to help you when you're having those more down moments, right? Because they're like, oh, here's someone at least trying to make the world less shit. Which is, we're all trying here.
We're all trying.
The next one is customer orientated. Always, always care about the customer, whether they're internal or external. They're the ones bringing in the money. Remember, it's not about you. It's how you're helping to solve their problem.
Love that.
Meeting preparation action. So if anyone's in that space, have meeting preparation. Like, there's so many meetings.
And for our contractors, it's like your pickup preparation, to be there on time and communicate that, and all of those things are so important.
And one of my favorite ones, when people say, like, how can I start my leadership stuff? How can I be a leader? And I say this for all ages. Give credit where it's due and remember those who helped you.
Yes.
I see people as they go up in the ranks, or they get more money, or they get more exposure, or whatever they do, they forget. So I go, acknowledge when others have done the work, even if they're not in the room. It says a lot about you as a person. Even if your work culture doesn't like that, don't model it yet. Like, your actions can still have a meaningful impact. I was in a workplace where actually I was put down for that. And they're like, we don't do that. And I was like, I'm not going to change who I am because that works. Like, that's my value. That's what I think is really important. And that's, for me, how I build trust, and also acknowledge that you don't really do anything alone anyway. We should give credit where it's not due. Your insecurity is not my problem. So that's what I would say to people. And I actually had someone in a personal branding, one of the book launches. They said, "What's a piece of advice that you can give as we're trying to build our brand and get more known in market?" And I said, think of two mentors, whether it's work, whether it was teachers in high school, some high school teacher yesterday, whether it is, someone in your family that you really admired and that have really shaped you, and then go thank them and be very specific. I had one girl just shared how much her older sister helped shape her life. Because I go, it's so sad. We wait until we're dying or going through a really rough patch before we reach out and just be grateful. But if you do it in advance, like, you just never know what that could do for someone. So I'm very cognizant of having the women and the people that have shaped my life, and be very grateful to them on a very regular basis. So I'll message them every International Women's Day. I'll message my people that I really care about. I said, thank you for making it better for all of us, and I think it's that mentality, and that will automatically make you more grateful. That automatically make you feel a little bit more positive, because you're adding to it. Does that make sense? You're adding to the world. So even if you take away anything, like, if you have had I would just say two people that have significantly shaped your life in a good way, go thank them and be very specific about what they helped you with. Love that. And the last one is last two, phone savvy. People aren't good on the phone, but I swear to God, if you can talk on the phone, it'll be like miles ahead, which is literally insane. And communication, from how you write an email, present, manage stakeholders, share insights. It can be more difficult for some personality types, but the wonderful part is with generative AI, you can get support with this now.
Yes, and we have a whole platform that supports our contractors with
No
communication,
way.
and we're actually building a whole heap of new features around that right now, because that's one of the things that our customers get upset about. If you don't communicate well with them, then they get really upset. Well, I mean, I love all of that. I think that is just so much valuable information, such a great toolkit to follow, to unpack, and and you have given meaning to my life, even though I've only known you for a year. So I love that you've been able to come on and talk about all of this with us. And so you should definitely check out V's book, The Briefcase Effect. You can get it on Amazon. We'll put some links for where you can get it, and check out this is not her beautiful briefcase, this is her beautiful briefcase, but this is another example of one. But thank you so much for coming on and talking about all of that.
Thank you for all of you.
Thank you.